Hey guys, what's up everyone? Thanks for tuning in. I already see quite a few people here. Shall we keep the music in the background? Yeah, let's keep the music in the background. We're almost ready to start. I'm just gonna wait for a couple of minutes, you know, for a few other people to join us. I'm also gonna organize here the chat overlay, which essentially means that you will see your comments. If you have any questions for me, you will see your comments on screen. Okay, so let's try to see if this feature works. I want to say hi to a few people who already commented, so let's give this a go. Hey Sir Daryl, how you doing? And hello to Benjamin as well, and to Roncap, who is tuning in from India. Here we go. Yes. Thanks guys for tuning in. It's nice to see that you're already here. As you may have already got, today we're gonna talk about 9-11-13 chords, you know, which is really important. We're gonna give a usual R&B and Neo Soul flair to the things that we're gonna be playing. It would be great if you guys can let me know in the meantime if you can hear me right, if you can hear my guitar right as well, the music in the background. Obviously later on we are gonna have in the background some cool Neo Soul drum beat to practice what we're gonna learn today, okay? And because we are here, so first of all let's stop the music now so that you can hear me even better hopefully, and so let's get to what we want to have a look at today, which is going to be a bunch of chords into an R&B and Neo Soul chord progression, played on acoustic guitar, played finger picking, okay? But obviously we're gonna introduce these 9-11-13 chords so that if you guys have any questions about these chords, I know that, you know, many of you may be confused about them at first. You can obviously ask, let me know if you have any questions and I can get back to you. I made a video already on 9-11 and 13 chords on the channel fairly recently, maybe a month or two ago actually. And you guys seem to have enjoyed that video very much. That video got quite a lot of views, so I thought that you guys may be interested in getting a little bit deeper into 9/11 13s and possibly see a real life application into an actual chord progression that we can practice with a drum beat. And so instead of just explaining the theory behind these 9/11 and 13s, which we'll be obviously touching on as well, we are actually gonna be looking at real chords, understanding shapes and learning, you know, different shapes for the 9th, for the 11th, for the 13th chords. Okay, now because we are just starting out right now, let me just remind you that for the whole weekend, as always, when we are live, when there is a live stream, there is going to be a 10% off on my merch store. You may actually see underneath this video, I don't know if you actually see it underneath this video, but it is now available on the channel, a shelf where you can see the merch, you know, that I have on my merch store, together with also sample packs. So some people are interested in having my guitar recorded in their songs, in their music, in their videos and stuff like that. You can do so by buying these sample packs on my merch store. And for everything on my merch store, there's going to be a 10% off for the whole weekend. And that being said, I would say that we are ready to start. And as always, for every live streaming, guys, you can get access to everything we'll be playing right now, exercises, chord progression, shapes, music theory, all of that, on my Patreon page, okay, for free. So you don't have to be patrons to get access to that. You don't even need a Patreon account to download that. You just go to the link in the description of this video and you can download absolutely for free, no email required, no account required, the tab to follow what we're going to be practicing today, which is always going to be easier. If you download it and you have it, it's always going to be easier for you to follow along and practice. But to show you what you are going to get once you download it, it's going to be a page like this one, okay? Let me see. Oh, obviously it's on the other side. Like this, which shows you, you know, the tab and the music notation with the diagrams, etc. It's going to be in a slightly better resolution than the one that I have on screen right now. It's actually... Why is the music going on again? Sorry. It's actually going to be 2 pages, okay? But we are going to break it down one piece at a time, you know, looking at the single bars, looking at the single lines and all the rest. Okay, so we are going to transfer now to the other scene where you see me a little bit smaller. I'm going to get back to the main scene in a minute, but in this way you can actually see the single parts that we are going to be practicing. Okay, as always, there is a reminder to my social media if you guys want to follow me on Instagram and TikTok, as well as there is one more reminder that you can download the PDF absolutely for free. Okay, obviously, if you want to support this channel because you feel like you're getting value out of my lessons, you can do so on my Patreon page by becoming a patron. Okay, but you don't need to do so in order to download this stuff. That being said, the very first thing that we are going to learn today is actually this, which is a melody, a pickup line to get started into the chord progression that we're going to be learning. We'll be in D minor today, as we will see later when we will be discussing what's the music theory behind the chord progression that we're going to be playing today. So we start with a pickup line because my whole idea for this lesson, guys, is showing you how you can connect these chords using single note melodies, okay? So that you don't just have like a bunch of chords, but you actually play melodies between the chords. And what is best than starting out with just a simple melody, you know, 4 notes. We don't need more, just 4 notes where we can play a single start, pick up, start line, starting line to this chord progression. Okay, like I said, we are in the key of D minor, so we're gonna play this. Okay, I play this finger picking, but if you guys feel more comfortable with your pick, feel free to do it. Okay, so it's gonna be literally 4 notes. It would be 4 16th notes like dee doo da da, but you may see that on the very first note, which is an F on the 6th fret, there is a hammer-on grace note. What does that mean? That instead of just playing the single note, you're going to be doing, you know, that thing is called in music grace note, and the whole line that we're playing, the whole lick, is a pickup line where we can do this. Now, where do we do that? When we'll be counting this with a metronome and with a drum beat, we will be on the beat number 4. If you guys know how to read music notation, on the top line, which is the music notation just next to the 4/4 time signature, you will see a rest which has a value of 3 beats. So that means that you go like 1, 2, 3, 4, and you literally play on that 4 as a 4E and a 4E and a, okay, like that. Now, as I said, this is just a quick pickup line to get started, but now let's have a look at the chord progression in the key of D minor. The very first bar I've divided for this live streaming. I'm trying to, you know, make this easy to follow. So I've actually selected the single bars so that you can see one bar at a time, then we will see the whole thing as well. So the very first bar is this one, okay? In the first bar, you can already see a couple of chords with a couple of 9, 11, 13 extensions. So we will have already the chance to talk about that. There will be a melody and I will be showing you how to play these arpeggios. So the first chord that we start from is a D minor 9, which is this. Okay, now it's time to quickly go back to the main scene so that you guys can see what chord position I'm playing. Once more, in the tab that you download for free on my Patreon, you will also have the chord diagrams. So you're gonna learn this very quickly. But the whole story behind this is, instead of playing a D minor 7, this bar chord that most of you will already know, because we want to talk about chord extensions above the 7th. So what's above the 7th? A 7th chord, whatever 7th chord you analyze, guys, is 1, 3, 5, 7. So if I keep going by thirds, above the 7th I find the 9th. And that's the extension that we're going to be using for this chord. Instead of a D minor 7, we're going to play a D minor 9, okay, which is a D minor 7th extended to the 9th. Now, when we talk about 9, 11, 13 chords, I just want to remind you this, then I will, you know, leave it to you if you want to see the full lesson on that on my channel. But when we say that the 7th chord is made by 1, 3, 5, and 7, what are the numbers, the degrees that we are skipping? We are skipping 2, 4, 6. And guess what? 2, 4, 6 is 1 octave higher, 9, 11, 13. So the 3 notes that we don't use when we make 7th chord, we are going to use them above the 7th, so 1 octave higher as 9, 11, 13. For example, when I say D minor 9, this 9th, which I'm playing here, is the 2nd degree of the scale, just 1 octave higher. So if D minor 7 was my starting chord, the 2nd degree, so the note after the root, is the note E, and 1 octave higher is going to be here. This is your 9th to play D minor 9. Now, yes, if we analyze the whole chord here, we may realize that there isn't a 5th, it's an omit 5. But if you guys are familiar with this channel and with my videos, you know that very often we play omit 5 chord positions, because the 5th is the one note that you can easily take off the chord and you're not really losing much. So instead of playing this, which will be with the 5th, so it involves the first string, I'm playing this. In this way I'm playing an omit 5, and the 9th, which is the color that I'm interested in, is the top note that I'm playing. Like that. Okay, so this is going to be the first chord, and like we quickly saw on the other scene with the tab, we are playing a 4-note arpeggio in 16th note, like 1, E, and A. Okay, see that my right hand is doing thumb, index, middle, and ring, because I like to play, whenever it's possible, obviously, 1 finger per string. So that's the start of this chord progression. But it's not all. So if we go back here, you will see that after the first 4 notes, which are what we were playing, there is the number 6 on the B string, which is this note, which is the note after the 9th, which is the minor 3rd for this chord. So effectively, we are not playing the 9th anymore in this chord position by the time we stretch the pinky here, and that's why on top of that single note I put the other chord diagram for the D minor 7 instead of the D minor 9th. Okay, so going back to what I was showing you, instead of just staying on this do 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 da, I'm actually doing this. Okay, so I'm creating this melody with my pinky between the note E, F, do do da. Okay, now because I count in 16ths, so I go 1, E, and A, I like to do a percussion on 2, which is something that we often do on the channel. You know, we often play these percussions on 2 and 4, and then stretch my pinky on the second 16th of that beat, 1 E and A, 2 E and A. Okay, so that note goes on the second 16th. However, instead of playing that note as long as I was singing, humming right now, we're gonna stop it as soon as possible. That's the reason why on top of that note you will find a dot, which is the symbol for the staccato in music. Okay, guys, so we'll be doing 1 E and A, 2 E, and we stop it there. Okay, we keep counting, of course, but we stop the sound there. 1 E and A, 2 E and A. Okay, 1 E and A, 2 E and A, like this. Okay, now after that it's time to introduce the next chord, which, as you can see already in the tab, it's going to be a B flat major 7. Now guys, a B flat major 7 is just a simple 7th chord, which goes like this. Okay, sorry. So that means that we can still start with our 4/16th note arpeggio, finger picking like this. Okay, yeah. Still play our percussion, which is on the beat number 4 now. But then, even here, I want to, you know, add another note to create a melody. And this note is the next note of the D minor scale on that B string where we were creating the first part of the melody. So I'm gonna get the fret number 8 this time, doing this. Now, by the time I hit this note, I am actually hearing a B flat major 13, okay? Because my B flat major 7 has now been extended to this note, which happens to be the 13th. And for what we explained previously, what note is the 13th? It's just the 6th that we haven't used in the first octave, and we will use in the next octave as the 13th. So the 6th becomes the 13th, exactly like the 2nd became the 9th on that D minor 9. So the whole idea is D minor 9 to a B flat major 13, like this. Okay, but in order to make it more interesting with a couple of single notes as a melody, I play The reason why I start from a B flat major 7 instead of starting from a B flat major 13 is because in this case I can use the same note that I have introduced in the D minor 9, this, as my encore to start my B flat major 7 to a B flat major 13. Okay, so this is a simple example of how you can move a D minor 7 into a D minor 9 and a B flat major 7 in a B flat major 13. Once more, guys, by the time you look at the tab, you will have all of these chord diagrams on top. So you can see that when you start the B flat major 7, it is just a B flat major 7. And by the time you reach this note with the pinky, it is now a B flat major 13. And that's why I put the B flat major 13 chord diagram. Okay, so looking at this first simple bar of the tab, you will have something like do 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 da. Okay, obviously creating those staccatos, you get this type of feel. Okay, but you can do it even slow. Okay, anyway, don't worry because we're gonna practice this with an actual drum beat, a very, you know, nice neo soul drum beat. Okay, now I would like to move to the second bar that I can show you, where we have another pair of chords, which is G minor 11 to an A minor 7. And you may think, oh, why do we play just an A minor 7? Wasn't this a lesson on 9, 11 and 13 chords? Yes, but we are going to see a different type of embellishments which will be using one of the notes of the 9, 11, 13, but in the previous octave, so it isn't an extension. Now, let's go step by step. Let's talk about the G minor 11, okay? So a G minor 11 is a G minor 7th, which we are extending to the 11th, and it gets this really nice color. I love this chord, and if you guys have watched other videos on my channel, you know that I like this chord and that I like to play this chord very often, you know, like this. Now I need to show you this position on the main scene where you can see me nice and large on screen. So how does it go? Well, if it was just a G-7, you could say, well, this is a G-7. Or you could say, this is a G-7. Well, all I'm doing is thinking about this position of a G-7, looking at the fifth, moving it down to the fourth, and that fourth, we have learned previously that that fourth 1 octave higher takes the name of 11th, because it goes 2, 4, 6, becomes 9, 11, 13. So the fourth is the 11th, and it goes like this, okay? But even here, I want to play my 4-note arpeggio, like this. Percussion, followed by a single note on the D minor scale, and I'll tell you more, this is the actual D note, okay, as a staccato, like, okay, which then allows me to move on to the next chord. So, what is the next chord? The next chord, guys, is that Am7 in bar chord position, okay? So just to understand what I'm talking about this Am7. I'll show you now larger on screen, but for now let's keep the tab in front of us, because the tab shows us on the last beat, the fourth beat of this bar, that there is an embellishment, a sus4 embellishment on the Am7. So a sus4, you guys may know this, is just a chord that doesn't have the third, but if this is my Am7, so where is my flat 3, my minor third in this Am7? It's here. So if I do an embellishment which involves the sus4, the fourth degree, I need to do something that replaces this note, the minor third, within this chord, okay? Obviously this note is played by the bar, okay? So I can do this simple hammer-on pull-off embellishment, okay? From the minor third to the fourth and back to the minor third, like this. And then continue with my arpeggio, which I will show you in a minute, okay? So why isn't this an A minor 11 if I'm using the fourth? Because I can't really call it an A minor 11 as I did for the G minor 11 if I also have, if I don't have the third. Because here in the G minor 11, I have the 11th because I have the minor third. So there is the minor third and there is the fourth, 1 octave higher, which takes the name of 11th. But down here, even when I add my pinky to do this hammer-on pull-off with the fourth, there isn't the third. If there is the fourth, there isn't the third. So it is correct to say that this is a sus4 instead of an A-7 extended to the 11th, okay? It may seem just a music theory thing, but in actual fact, this is quite important because it shows you whether you know a sus4 chord or what a sus chord is in general, and when is it that you call the 2, 4, and 6, 9, 11, 13. Okay, so hopefully this makes sense. But as always, guys, please let me know if you have any questions. I may have lost some of your comments actually. So sorry, I had them closed, so I wasn't paying attention to them, but I want to say hi to the people that are deciding to spending some time with me, with us today in this hot Saturday of July. At least hot here, maybe it's not hot where you are. So I want to say hi to Voodoo57, Alessio, hi, how you doing? And I would love, guys, if you would like to tell me where you are from. That would be amazing. I always love that. I recently asked that even on my Instagram page, because there is obviously a large following on Instagram, and I was wondering, you know, where you guys follow me from. And you know, the results were amazing. I think I touched on all continents, and you know, it was very, very nice to read. Hello to Ben as well. Hello to Austin, who is following from Buffalo, New York. I think I saw your name already in another live stream. I may get this wrong, but maybe it was you. And hello to Archin, who has a question, I think, which is how to write progressions with modal interchange. I think we're going to touch on that slightly later today. But essentially, you start from a chord progression in a given key, and then you borrow a chord, and you want to borrow a chord from a parallel scale. This is another concept that we often touch here on the channel, so thanks for your questions, and this is something we'll get back to later. Hello to Brad Hill as well, and to Tom Adams. How you doing, Tom? Nice to see you. Thanks for tuning in. And Benjamin says that he is following from Long Island, New York. Hello, hello. and Tom is instead in Connecticut. And I think I remember this because you probably told us in another live stream. Anyway, guys, it's great to see you from all over the world, you know, following this live streaming. I'm really grateful to have you on board for this live stream. We get back now to the chord progression, but please feel free to ask any questions you may have in the meantime. When I see them, I will, you know, I will address these questions. There is a hello from Vietnam. How you doing? And interesting because I should be in Vietnam in the next few months, so that's an interesting one. Anyway, guys, so let's keep going with this chord progression. Okay, I should have the other scene here ready, where as you can see on the A-7, the tab says that it goes like this. This is the thingy that so it's a triplet essentially, right, guys? You can see that triplet followed by 2 notes of the arpeggio. Let me show you that in full screen as well. So after doing this Gm11 like this, I go to the A-7 and I play 4 notes from the top one. Okay, as an arpeggio, 1, 2, 3, 4. But then on that same string, on the G string, I like to play this hammer on pull off, okay? Then the note above, which is on the D string, and the note below on the B string, like. Like that. Okay, you can obviously play around the rhythm, it doesn't have to be exactly like this, but this is how it goes. So together, this second bar. Okay, nice typical R&B embellishment, right? R&B embellishments are all of these hammer-ons and pull-offs that you do within the arpeggios of a given chord in a given chord progression, okay? So now, it's time to remove the second bar and instead have a look at the first and the second together. So let's play what we have got until here, which is this. Okay, I'll show you even this into the larger screen here. We were saying do 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 da and then okay. As I said, if you guys download the tab, this is gonna be, you know, much easier to follow. Anyway, I will keep switching between scenes because if you guys are following from your phone or you don't have the chance to download this right now, you'll be able to follow better if you see what's going on, you know. But yeah, so this is the first 2 bars, but remember, guys, that we first played this pickup line, you know, which was. So if I play this pickup line, okay, and then I get into the chord progression, I'll keep the pickup line first here. It goes like 1, 2, 3, pickup line. You know, kind of like this. If I now remove the pickup line so that you can see the first 2 bars instead, I go. Like this, okay? This is our R&B progression, at least the first part. I say the first part because then, guys, there are 2 more bars. One is the bar 3, which, if you look at it, it isn't a surprise. It's the same as the first bar, so you repeat again the first 2 chords. The surprise is on the 4th and final bar, because here we play our Gm11 with a slightly different melody, which I'm about to show you, and then we get to a diminished 7th chord instead of an A-7, because it can't be a proper R&B and Neo Soul chord progression without getting into diminished 7 chords, right? So let's have a look at what is going on here. So first thing first, the G-7 extended to the 11th, so Gm11 goes like 4 notes like before, percussion. You can do that with your thumb, with all of your hand, up to you. And then instead of moving to this note, you play the third and fourth strings within the chord progression, so you don't have to remove any finger, like this, okay? Then, what did we used to do the first time? We used to go to this A-7 and do the embellishment with the pinky. We don't do that anymore. We're gonna be playing a C-sharp diminished 7th chord, okay? Why is that? Because we are heading back to the D-7, so this is the upper part of the secondary dominant. The secondary dominant, guys, would be an A7 altered. If I replace that with the upper part of an A7 flat 9, which is a diminished 7 chord, one of the diminished 7 chords that I get is the C-sharp diminished 7th. I hope that this makes sense. There is a lesson that I made, I think last week, you know, on the channel, about these diminished 7 chords. So if you guys are not so sure about why I'm using a diminished 7 chord, why we can use diminished 7 chords to get this kind of like R&B Neo Soul vibe, check out that lesson, okay? It's my latest video on the channel, very easy to find, okay? But this will really tell you quite a lot about this style, okay? Now, the reason why I said one of the diminished 7 chords is because you guys know that I can move this back and forth by 3 half steps and I'm still playing the same chord because this is a symmetrical chord, right? Now, the thing is, I do that very often, so I wanted to do something different in this chord progression and this live streaming lesson. So what I want to do is play this C-sharp diminished 7th, but doing a hammer-on, another typical R&B embellishment on the diminished 7 chord, because I feel like I don't show you this too often on the channel. So instead of doing things like that you see me doing all the time, I this time wanted to do this simple melody, D, E, okay? So if I show you this in the tab, you'll be able now to recognize that the C-sharp diminished 7th is going like 4 note arpeggio without the pinky, yeah? Percussion and add the pinky like okay, so putting together the G minor 11 with this C-sharp diminished 7th, it goes, sorry, again, okay, which in my opinion, it completes the melody that we are, you know, introducing in this chord progression. So we started with a pickup line. Then in this chord, there is this melody. In this other chord, there is this melody. Then we had within the, like that. Repeat again. And then we have so if I now think about this chord progression not as chords but as single note melodies, I have and start again. So these are the notes involved in the melodies in between the chords. With the chords, they become and start again. Okay, so this is our chord progression, guys. Okay, hopefully this makes sense, and now we are almost ready to have a look at this chord progression with a drum beat. Okay, obviously if we see the third, I haven't showed you this, but if we see the third and the fourth bars together, they look like this. Okay, so they look like D minor 9, B major 13, G minor 11, C sharp diminished 7. Okay, the second half of the chord progression. So you see, guys, that in a simple chord progression in D minor with 4 chords, we were able to extend the 9th 11th and 13th. All of these extension, obviously the 9th goes to the D minor 9th, the 13th goes to the B flat major 7, and the 11th goes to the G minor 11, yeah? But we were also able to include a C sharp diminished 7th, so a diminished 7 chord, which is a really important chord in this style, and all of the hammer-on and pull-offs embellishments, which are really, really important in what we're doing here. Okay, guys? So if I show you now the first 2 bars first, okay, these 2, but we try now to do this with a drum beat, you know, we will have to try together. We'll see if it works, okay? Because I don't remember what's the tempo. We'll check this out now in Logic. So it says 65 BPM, okay? So if I set the metronome and the drum beat, you guys let me know, yeah? If you can hear my voice, my guitar, and also the metronome and the drum beat, you know? Doing this kind of stuff. Now, this is the drum beat, Neo Soul R&B drum beat. It's very realistic. It's an actual drum beat played by somebody. Okay, it isn't like programmed drum thing. So again, what we can do is first of all getting that pickup note as 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's just the start. On the 4, I played that pickup line. 1, 2, 3. And then I start practicing. Now I will be practicing these 2 bars after the pickup line, which goes like this. 1, 2, 3. And I stop. I'll do it again. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, all of the embellishments are there. Now I will keep the bar 3 and 4 here, okay, so that you guys can see the second half. So I go like 1, 2, 3, 4. So it has a slightly different flavor here, okay? Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. I hope that you guys can hear everything all right. Yeah, please let me know that in the comments. Let's get back to the main scene, because I want to show you now the whole thing with the drum beat. But while I show you, you know, what is going on full screen, obviously you won't be able to see the tab. I could, I guess, you know, keep the tab here. Maybe I can. Yeah, let's try it. Let's try it once, and then you guys can see me if this makes sense, okay? But yeah, that's the main idea of this chord progression. We will now explain also the music theory. So if you want to stay with me for a few more minutes, you know, I will also cover the chord degrees and the music theory of this chord progression. But first, yeah, let's play it again. Why not? And then we are getting back to your questions as well. So if you guys have questions, make sure to type them in right now, because yeah, I will have a look at them in a minute. So this is the first and the second bar. So what we play after the pickup line, we'll keep this on screen and we go like this, okay? Let's count together. So 1, 2, 3. I was playing the other one, sorry guys. I will do the first one. I wasn't looking on screen, so I should play this. Okay, I was about to play the diminished 7th, but it isn't the right tab in front of us. So let's do it again. 1, 2, 3. I'll do it again. Let's count together. 1, 2, 3. And now instead, let's finally go to that to diminished 7th, which is this. So I'll show you the 3rd and 4th bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll do it again. 2, 3, 4. Okay. It shows me here on the software that I use for the live stream that when the drum beat is on, there's something clipping, it goes to the red. So I hope that it wasn't too loud for you, especially if you happen to be listening on the headphones. But yeah, so let's get back to your questions. First, guys, I want to remind you one last time that like every time when I do live streaming, there is a 10% off on my merch store. So if you want to get anything like this hat, this t-shirt, anything that you see underneath this video, or my sample packs to use in your recordings, you will have a 10% off by putting this TBG10, which is a discount code for my store. And I also want to remind you that you can find the tab for absolutely free, okay? On my Patreon page, you don't need an account, you don't need to support me on Patreon to download this one. It's absolutely for free for everybody because I want you to follow this lesson the best way possible, okay? If you then feel like you want to support me on Patreon because you get value of these lessons, you can obviously do that. You are more than welcome to do that because obviously my patrons are the reason why these lessons are available for everybody on YouTube. Okay, guys. Now, that being said, let's explain the music theory of this chord progression. So in order to explain the music theory, I need to have a look at the full thing. Where do I have it? It should be this one here. Yeah, it shows us the full, the full chord progression. Obviously, I've removed the pickup bar because we don't need it for the harmonic analysis. Now, we already said that it is in the key of D minor, and you see on the top left of this tab that it is in the key of D minor. Okay, hopefully, guys, it's large enough for you to see what is going on. Actually, I didn't see that, but there is actually the pickup line because I wanted to keep everything in one page to show you everything when I was talking about the music theory. So we have the pickup line, we play a D-7, D-9, which we know is the tonic chord, so the 1 minus 7 in this key. Then we go to B flat major 7, which happens to be a chord number called B flat 6 major 7. Now flat 6 because every minor key, every minor scale have a flat 3, flat 6 and flat 7, and that has to reflect in the chord numbers that you guys use when you analyze a chord progression. So 1 minus 7 to the flat 6, the 6th degree of a minor scale is the flat 6, major 7 because it happens to be a major 7. Then the G minus 7 is the 4 minus 7 and the A minus 7 is the 5 minus 7. So again, 1 minor to flat 6 major 7, 4 minor, 5 minor. Then in the second line you do the same, so 1 minor to flat 6 major 7, 4 minus 7, but you then find the 7 diminished 7th, our friend the C sharp diminished 7th. The reason why we have a 7 diminished 7th is because this is the upper part of an A7 flat 9, so it's the upper part of a 5-7 ultra, the 5-7 flat 9. So hopefully this makes sense. I know that, I'm sure that you guys understand that I can't go too deep into the music theory of this chord progression in a live streaming, simply because I don't know what's your background. For some of you, what I just said about the chord numbers will be absolutely your bread and butter that you do every day, that you say every day, and it would be absolutely cool. For some other guys, this could be extremely hard, extremely difficult to follow. So I just don't know. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer them either live now or later in the comments. But overall, there are several videos on my channel which talk about chord numbers and harmonic analysis. So I'm sure that you can find lots of other resources very helpful for you to understand this on the channel. Plus, anytime that I add tabs and music notation to my chord progressions that you guys see on the channel, I always make sure to include in my Patreon page additional notes which explain even more what's the music theory. So every tab that you find on my Patreon page has the chord numbers underneath the chords. It has the key, and it has general notes that may, refresh specific concepts that we use. It could be a secondary dominant, a diminished 7th chord, anything really. Okay, so hopefully this is also something that may help. Now I would like to get back very quickly to your comments. I've missed quite a few. Hi from California. Hello, California. How's the weather in California? Is it hot as it is in Europe right now? Hello from the Philippines as well. This one, Alex says, Where is Craig David at? I don't know. He hasn't called me today just yet. I hope he does later on. Kafad says, hi, how are you? I'm very well. Thank you guys for asking. Hope you guys are having a fantastic weekend. And again, I really appreciate you for spending some time with me in this live streaming. Hey from India. Hello from India. And so Benjamin says, that's a very important thing. Let's cover this, guys, because this is quite interesting. What is your right hand going for the pickup line? Loving it so far. Thank you, Benjamin. So what I'm doing, you're really free to do however you like it. I've got nothing against you playing with the pick, the whole chord progression if you like. So that means that even the pickup line could be addressed as this. But what I like to do a finger picking technique, which is something very bluesy as well, if you like. It's a very old school technique like this, which allows me to rest my thumb on the G string when I want to play the B and use my index on the B to do this grace note and pull off, and then either do this with my thumb, you know, which is probably what I do more often, you know. And it looks quite quick here because I touched the B string with the index only one and the G string with the thumb like this only once. So it has only 2 movements, right? But nothing against you doing this, and then if you don't want to use your thumb, remove your thumb and actually use your index for this as well. Okay, so it's either this or what I was doing, this. Okay, but if you ask me, what I feel more comfortable doing is definitely this hammer on and then thumb, hammer on, which allows me to then move to the next chord. Okay, so hopefully this makes sense, guys. And that being said, let's get to the other comments. Okay, Alex was asking whether the pickup line is at the end of the bar. It is at the end of the pickup bar, so at the end of the very first bar. So if you know what I mean, when I count, when we are getting started, you know, and we count 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we play the first chord. In that bar where we count 1, 2, 3, 4, we say we count in, you know. On the beat number 4, you play da-da-doo-doo. So you go 1, 2, 3 without playing anything. When you say 4, you go 4 E and A, 4 E and A, 4 16th notes with a grace note at the beginning, like this. If you want to see how this looks like in the tab, I can show you just the pickup line, which is this, and you see the rest next to the 4 4. 1, 2, 3, da da do da, like this. Okay. So hopefully, guys, this makes sense. Using a pickup line, it's just a very common thing that we do when we want to start a chord progression, or when we want to go from, yeah, essentially when we want to start, because it's a pickup line. So yeah, it makes sense. Then what else do we have? Mr. Red says, good morning. So I'm assuming you're in the US because you say good morning. But it would be great to know where you guys are from. It's a rootless voicing of a 5 dominant 7 chord, the diminished 7 chord. Yes, you are absolutely right saying that. That's the whole point. So if you guys want to know more about it, make sure to check out my latest lesson on the channel about diminished 7 chord. But this is a rootless voicing, that is absolutely correct, of an A7 flat 9, okay, which is the 5-7 flat 9. So it's the secondary dominant to go to the 1 minor, to the D minor 7. We played rootless, and this is giving us this diminished 7th vibe, which we can either move, as we often do, or do the hammer-on embellishment, you know, to get another piece of melody to play in between chords. It's a bit hot here, I can imagine. It is hot as well here, and believe it or not, I have quite a few lights on so that you guys can see everything the best way possible. Mr. Red says, Chino Hills, California. I guess that California is hot as well. Blue Crow says, hello from Russia. How you doing there? Okay. Then there is a few more. Quite a few of you in California today. I like this thing. Hello, Martin. Keyword bake. Okay, interesting. And Benjamin, thanks, man. That's such a cool technique. I'm glad that you like it. Yeah, guys, I often like to play these two-finger thingies. Yeah, because I think they sound great and they're really nice to play. Hasmir, thanks for answering our questions. Would you go over some augmented variations of a few of these chord shapes? Augmented variations, you mean, you know, with a sharp 5 for these chords, yeah? Yes, I actually do that pretty often. If you have seen other videos of mine, a chord progression like this could go like... And if I do this, this is the augmented version, right? Because this is an A7 sharp 5, so it's an A augmented triad with a flat 7, which is another way to create a 5/7 altered. One way is this, which I feel that I play very often, or this, you know, I do that very often. Or another way is instead looking at the flat 9, like I was doing before, and this flat 9, essentially when you play rootless, like you said before, it's a diminished 7 chord, which is super cool to do in my opinion. But yeah, I love doing the augmented variations as well. There could be an augmented variation even the B flat major 7, but that's a little too advanced for this lesson, so we're going to talk about that chord, sharp 5, so B flat major 7, sharp 5, another time. John says, morning from Seattle. How you doing there? Loving this content. I'm glad that you like it. Guys, I'm really happy that you are sticking around for this live stream. I do have a couple of students, I believe, in Seattle, Washington. So that's interesting. And yeah, so I should have addressed pretty much all of your questions. But again, if you have other questions, feel free to leave them until we are here live. Otherwise, you can obviously watch this lesson later to review some concepts, keep practicing with the drum beat. And if you happen to have further questions, you can leave them in the comments below and I'll get back to you. But now I would say, why don't we try to play this one last time? Looking at... I've lost your comments. That's my bad. That's my bad. Maybe I do have them back again. I clicked on something, guys, that I shouldn't have clicked. Let's try if this still works. It doesn't, of course. So let me do this. I will have to reinsert your comments here to have them on screen. Otherwise I can read them, but you guys don't know what I'm addressing. Okay, so let's see if this works. It works again. So I clicked on the wrong button earlier. Sorry about that, guys. There's quite a lot of windows open to make a live streaming like this happen, and all I wanted to do was actually just go in here, remove the pickup line, and showing you once more the full PDF that you can get for free on my Patreon page. And if we keep it here, I want to play again the whole thing while you look at the whole tab for once, you know, not the single bars as we did so far. You also have the harmonic analysis underneath if you want to understand what's going on, the pickup line, the chord numbers, the sus4 embellishments, the 7 diminished 7th, and so on. But we can do this with the drum beat so that you can hear how this is supposed to sound like. I'll play it only once without the drums. It will go like 1, 2, 3. Hopefully this makes sense. I think it's nice even just with the guitar, but when you hear the drums it makes more sense. Okay, so let's get the drums. Previously we were listening to the drums with the metronome like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to remove the metronome and just focus on the vibe, on the actual feel of this R&B drum beat. Okay, so we go like this. Let's give this a go. 2, 3. Not the best pickup line. And if you guys were wondering, this is, by the way, 65 BPM, okay? So let's do it once more. 1, 2. Yeah, let's count from the start of the bar. So 1, 2, 3. little mistake there. It's actually better if I read it because I have it in front of me. So why was I going by heart? You know, I wrote it myself, so I should remember it. But it's always better when you read it. Let's play it one last time. I would say without the tab in front of us, so we can go back to the main scene. Yeah, I don't think we need the tab anymore. I want to show you what's going on. So yeah, let's do it with a drum beat like this. 2, 3. And again. Once more. See how, guys, after a few times you played, it just sounds better because you lock in with the drum beat even better. I'm not listening to the metronome anymore. There isn't a metronome. So you get more used to what is going on in the drum beat. You are more used to follow it. And after a few times, you can get into that laid back feel, which I think sounds also really, really good. Okay, so hopefully this is also something interesting. There's another question, which is very interesting because I'll tell you why in a minute. So, who are some of your current favorite Neo Soul R&B artists? Would love to listen to some of your recommendations. Cheers. There is one that I absolutely must mention because, you know, I've been listening to this artist the whole week, you know, and there are some songs which are really amazing. I think he's one of the greatest new R&B Neo Soul artists of this time, and it kind of reminds me to the great vibes of the late 90s, early 2000s, and I'm talking about Giveon. Okay, I hope that you guys know him. If you want to spell it, if you don't know him, it's Giveon, and you obviously can find him everywhere. He also made some covers, I found out, of R&B and Neo Soul of the 90s, so you know, I think he's great. I would highly recommend him. Obviously, also listen to Summer Walker, for example. She's also very, very popular. I made a lesson about one of her songs called Playing Games on the channel. I'm planning on probably taking a few chord progressions from Giveon's music and bring them on the channel. Why not? So Julian Obre says, "Hey, video guitar is what you like R&B guitar playing comparing to the other genres of guitar music. Is it the soul it has, the feeling that is lacking in other genres? Talk a little about this." Sure. I mean, yes, I would definitely say it is the feel. You are absolutely right. It is the soul. But I would also say that it is a mix. So if you think about R&B, Neo Soul, even chill hop, if you know what I'm talking about, it is really a mix of different cultures at the same time. Because yes, there is the vibe, the rhythm in the vibe, the R&B rhythm, which is clearly something that you can say it's in common with hip hop, for example. But if you think about the harmony, you know, these chords that we are playing, they could be taken from a jazz standard, you know. So the harmony, the chords in this style are really jazzy, which is something I love, while the rhythm is very much hip hop and R&B. So when you put this together, you get the magic that we were listening to, you know, with the drum beat on. So yeah, that's why I love this type of stuff, guys. But yeah, I think we went quite long with this live stream. I only noticed that now we have just passed 1 hour, and I thought it was like half an hour or something like that. Because when you do something that you like, time flies, I guess. So if you guys have any other questions, please feel free to obviously leave them in the comments. Okay, it's like once you learn Neo Soul R&B chords, it feels like you can't play other normal chords. Yeah, they like that vibe. Yes, I agree with that. Probably many of the people in this live stream, and in general, many of my subscribers on this channel will agree on that, because we all love this style. And although I like to talk about general things about guitar music theory and play different styles, especially like bossa nova and other jazzy styles, I definitely love this style, this music, and it's what I listen to and what I play and what I love. Thank you, Alex, for joining. Really appreciate you sticking around and asking questions. It really makes this live stream much more vibrant. And any thoughts on Isaiah Sharkey? He's a phenomenal guitar player, guys. Like, I'm sure that all of you know him, but otherwise check him out. Check him out on his solo stuff. Check him out as a session guitarist for John Mayer. I saw him twice live with John Mayer. Check him out on the D'Angelo records and live music of the maybe late 2000s, something like that. With Pino Palladino on bass, and essentially you will find most of the John Mayer current live band with D'Angelo, who is, I'm sure you guys know him, probably the greatest Neo Soul artist of late 90s and early 2000s. So yeah, yes, I will try to keep cool in this hit. I must say we're not too bad in London. I'll be honest, I'm just too used now to London's weather, but it's not too bad here today. It's 25 degrees Celsius, but we did have a heat wave at the beginning of the week, which brought us to 40 degrees like most of Europe, and it was quite intense. However, it was quite short because we're in London, and you know, London is never too hot for too long. Is it possible to write music with only R&B chords? Like, is it possible to make an arrangement of any type of music with this? Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know if you are already familiar with this channel, but you will find many lessons about that on the channel, where I take simple chords, like chords that you find in pop songs, for example, and I transform the arrangement into something more R&B and Neo Soul, and I absolutely love doing that. And if you guys want to see more about that, just let me know in the comments. I'll make more videos about that, because I love it. Thank you, Tom, for sticking around and for joining this live streaming as well. I remember you were in the previous live streaming as well, so yeah. Chris didn't know John Mayer's band played for D'Angelo. Not the whole band, not the whole band. For example, not the current drummer. I think that probably Steve Jordan, who is the historic drummer for John Mayer, played with D'Angelo. The current drummer for John Mayer is Aaron Stelling, I believe, who previously played with a bunch of pop artists, including Taylor Swift. But yeah, that's wild. I agree. It's wild. If you guys happen to watch John Mayer live, that's an amazing experience. I love John Mayer. I've watched him a couple of times live, and yeah, with Isaiah Sharkey on guitar, unbelievable. Yes. Anyway, guys, so this is all for this live streaming. I hope you have enjoyed, and if you want to look at this chord progression, check out this chord progression once more. You obviously will have the replay of this live streaming available. The tab for it will stay on my Patreon for free, so you can download it even later on for free. And obviously, if you feel like you want to support me on Patreon, you can do so. You are more than welcome to do so. And don't forget that my whole merch store, which you can find in the description below, and probably you will see a shelf with this hat, the t-shirt, and my sample packs, is 10% off for the whole weekend. Oh, there's a couple more questions. I'll get these two questions first then. When you transform the arrangement into R&B, doesn't it change for the vocalist to sing on it? Does the vocalist have to make adjustments on the original vocal melody to sing R&B chord versions? Not necessarily, not every time, but it often happens that. It is a slightly more broad concept, because it really depends on the way you arrange it, so you will have to be careful about that. For example, you need to make sure the top note of your chords, like what we were working on today, doesn't clash with the vocal melody or any other melody happening, you know. John Waller says, I saw Tash Sultana, who I also love, this past Tuesday. Where was that? Probably the greatest live guitar playing and one of the best concerts I have been to, and I go to a lot of shows. Oh, amazing, that's great to hear. You're not the first person to tell me that. I have several friends who actually saw Tash Sultana live, and they told me she's amazing. I've obviously seen her live on YouTube and all of the live looping that she does on her channel. I mean, she's unbelievable. She's such a phenomenal player, singer, and she does all by herself, which is fantastic. I remember a friend telling me about her before she became popular. This is a nice story. I'll spend 10 seconds on this. I had a friend who was living in Melbourne, where I think Tash Sultana is from, or probably she was living there, and she was basking in the streets in Melbourne, where she was about probably 17, something like that. She wasn't popular at the time, and I had this friend always sending me videos of her basking in Melbourne, telling me, oh, this girl is amazing. And I was like, yeah, she's really good. And I was incredibly happy when I saw that she became, like a couple of years later, extremely popular, because she really deserves that. So yeah. Ki, I don't know, Ki, what Elizabeth, what does that mean? I'm not sure about it. Maybe I'm missing something. And Julia says, why is the R&B style chords called sometimes Instagram chords? I made a video about that. What made it popular comparing to the other type of chords? Yeah, there is this thing that R&B and Neo Soul guitar is also called the Instagram guitar, because there was a time, I guess, when Matheus Assato became popular, where everybody on Instagram was playing Neo Soul, and it was something that people got to know on Instagram, and for that reason, I believe, they started calling it the Instagram guitar vibe or style. I guess that's the reason. I don't know. I obviously, I'm probably obviously guilty of that as well, because I also do that on Instagram. Matheus Assato, yeah, Matheus without the H, is a Brazilian guitarist, great Brazilian guitarist, and yeah, obviously very popular. Also a session man, pop session man. Recently played with Bruno Mars, and I will see him playing with Jessie J next week in London. So yeah. Yeah, absolutely, guys. So yeah, I mean, it was super cool chatting with you and spending some time together in this summer, in this Saturday afternoon of this summer 2022. Hope you guys are keeping yourself cool wherever you are. And once more, if you have other questions, I'm happy to answer them in the comments or in the next live streaming, which I hope it will be at some time in August. I will try to make some time for it, because I really enjoyed it, and it was great. Thank you, Julia. Thank you for your questions, and I'm glad you guys enjoyed this. Once more, you will find all of the links in the description. I'll leave you now with some music and the thank you for watching, and I will give you and I will see you in the next live streaming very soon. Check out my other videos on the channel, particularly in a couple of days there is a super lesson coming up, so make sure to subscribe, obviously, if you haven't. I guess I should say that more often, but yeah, I hope that you are all subscribed. If you're not, it doesn't cost you anything, and it really helps the channel a lot if you subscribe and hit the like button. Okay, anyway guys, thanks for watching again. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll see you very, very soon.